Why do you suppose that most of us look at downloaded music on the internet as not a moral or ethical issue, not even a legal issue?
That's a great question. A lot of surveys that have been conducted demonstrate that people do think of it as a legal issue but still choose to go ahead and do it. I think because it's intangible. You know, if you're going to take my jacket, you're going to have to look me in the eye and take my jacket. But if you're going to take my music, you know, you don't see me, you don't see any injury. It doesn't seem like property. Intuitively to us, dirt seems like property. You know, personality or chattel, chairs, clothing, that seems like property, but the abstraction of tangible expression, and it's only tangible the moment it's created, and ones and zeros satisfy that legal requirement. It's tangible. So tonight when I have, you know, a moment of inspiration after my second beer and I start singing, if I record it, it's tangible for purposes of copyright right then and there, and I could upload it, it's gone into the ether forever, and someone on the other side of the world, they're not going to have any sense of that being anyone's property because it's just so abstract.
So what was the answer, though? I mean, if you could wave a magic wand and change the copyright law, would you do it?
Yes, and that will happen. There are several think tanks that advise Congress on this, one of which I can't recall, but it has written a book called The Digital Dilemma, which is a pretty good book. I require my students to read it. And you can actually read it online for free. It's about 300 pages, but you can, you don't even have to buy it, although it'd be cool if you did. And they actually, talk about policy suggestions that would change copyright law. And there are a lot of ways that it could be done. And there is some evidence to indicate that we're beginning to see an increase in legal downloading. And so it's possible we've turned the corner. I hope so.
What words would you say to a group of, say, junior high school students that you think would have an impact on their desire to download music?
If I'm larger, I could threaten them. I think that probably has more reality than anything else.
So you can't talk them into it. You can't shame them into it. You can't explain it to them. You can't even educate them.
Just say no to downloading, huh? Nah, it's not going to work. It didn't work before, did it?
Right.
Don't answer. I don't know. That's a good question. I've got one of those students, and, well, she'll be that age soon, and I'll have to ponder that and come back in a couple of years. I don't know. Good question.
It's an interesting problem because there are those that would say that obscurity is the biggest curse of the artist and not piracy.
Well, that's usually what people will say when they're, that's actually been posed in legal cases that have been argued on the merits of downloading and that you're actually doing a favor, by spreading the word for people who are obscure who wouldn't otherwise get any kind of recognition, and by downloading the music. And there's a certain amount of truth in that, and a lot of legitimate artists are doing that, and I think there is some benefit. But I think that ultimately that's not a very good argument. I don't think there's any compelling reason once the music's out there to pay the money. And when you have a large number of people who feel ultimately it's not a moral dilemma to do that, I don't think you can't close the door. The door is open. You've got to rethink the door, and we haven't done that yet.
How do you propose for people to distinguish between music that's free on the internet and music that is not free on the internet? I mean, that is illegal to download. Music that's illegal to obtain and music that's legal to obtain. Same format, sometimes the same artist.
Yeah, most of the time.
I mean, in the sense that I can make my music available on the internet, and it is free for you to take. I want you to take it.
Right.
And then in 3 years when I get to be famous, now I want you to pay me for it.
Too late. You can't do it. I mean, that's like, what is that like? It's like something. I can't think of what it's like. Somewhere in the universe of analogies, there's a perfect one. I can't think of what it is. But you can't strike. That's like if you're in a court of law and you say something to the jury and the judge says, strike that, forget that. You can't forget it. And just like you can't take it back, once you put it out there, you can't then come back and say, okay, you've had your fun, now pay for it. No, it's not going to work.